Hello, coaches. Welcome to Locker Room Podcast. Joined tonight, Daniel St. Ledger, St. Sylvester's manager, Turlough O'Brien, Eire Og Manager, and Mark Doran, Slaughtneil Manager. It's very, very great to have you on, lads. Brilliant to have you on, because I know that you are going to give us great insights tonight into some of these superpowers that are still left in this competition. We're down to the last 16, man. Two semi-finals in Leinster this weekend. An intriguing one on Sunday. St. Mary's RD against Kilmacud Crokes. And I know, Turlough, no luck in the last round in Kilmacud. I know you're ruining the chances that he's missed in the first half that night against them.
Yeah, we thought we had a good few chances in the first half that we fluffed, really. So we had definitely one goal chance, maybe two, and we missed an easy enough free. All these little things make a huge difference, to your confidence. We're in 4 points down at half time. We could have been level, I would say, at half time, but it was a good learning experience for us. Croke surprised us a little bit. We expected we were going to press our kick out in the game, but they never did. They gave it up to us, and we had actually prepared for the opposite thing to happen. So they caught us a little bit unawares that way, and we probably didn't get enough width and height then into our attack as a result. We took many lads back, picking up short kickouts. But as a team, they're superb. Like they're totally well conditioned, massive understanding between them all. Despite the fact of two big stars in the team, they really are a really good unit. I think players pop up from corner back to put the ball over the bar. No stand-up players apart from the two boys, really, but every one of them very, very accomplished footballers. As I said, they're in superb condition, know what they're about, and they're going to take some beating, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Daniel, you've seen them up close numerous times now. Me and you have had many conversations about them. Like Turlough made an interesting point there of conceding the kick out. Like even a team like Kilmacud, who you would think would have the I wouldn't say arrogance, but they would have the confidence and real belief in pressing the kick out. Just swallow the ego a little bit and drop off the kick out, respect the opposition. Like, have you seen elements of that in the Dublin Championship too? Have you?
Yeah, well, it probably depends what way they're reviewing it. Like, I mean, they could have looked at dropping off the kick out as being an offensive weapon. Like, they might have fancied, let's say, they'd have looked at Eire Og and said, maybe let the full back line have it. That might be an area we can grab a couple of turnovers as they come to the middle third, and you've got most of the Eire Og team might have been ahead of the ball. And so it depends what way you want to it depends on where you want to approach it. But I would say they look at the opposition and we'll just analyse what's the best way of getting the job done. Like, I mean, I think they have a real lack of ego about the way they go about their business. Like, even at half time, it was 8-3. They could have been very easy to get to kind of go a bit swashbuckly with the wind and kind of really get after the game. But they said to themselves, well, look, we'll read the situation. And as Turlough alluded to, they kind of were ready for preparing to counter-attack and waiting for maybe was to try a few outside of the boot passes and that kind of stuff, but it never really occurred. Like, they're just very efficient, and they kind of, it reminds you of Dublin sort of 2016-17 kind of time. They just have so little ego about what to do, and even just we mentioned physically, looking at their players, number 2 to 15 could all nearly play in any position in the field. They're all so comfortable. Their skills are also good. But they don't do anything spectacular. They just wait for you to make mistakes. You could think you're in a game and all of a sudden you're 5 or 6 points down without them having done anything spectacular. They're a really efficient team, and they choke you and strangle you, and you think you're there, and then all of a sudden you're out of touch completely. They're going to take a bit of stopping, I'd say.
Yeah, and physically as well, Mark. Physically, they're a physically supreme team. Like you looked at even yesterday, we'll talk about Ulster later in the show, but I looked at the physicality of Scottstown yesterday as well. Like these teams that are coming in now at provincial club level, they're all in phenomenal condition. Like and Kilmacud no more so than Kilmacud.
Yeah, look, them probably top club teams now. They're prepared the same as an inter-county team. But I think the two boys agree. Daniel maybe more will know this. Kilmacud didn't actually play that well in the Dublin Championship, but I know I watched their final against Ballyboden, and I found it's very strange. Ballyboden were hot favourites for that, and Kilmacud actually put their best performance of the year. I thought they were really good. Again, Ballyboden, but their physicality, you even look at Shane Walsh, like he's definitely hit the gym. Well, people might say he's hit something else, but I think it looks like he's hit the gym hard. He's definitely put a bit more bulk on him. Now, there's Shane Walsh bulk and there's your bulk, Stevie. So Shane's definitely hit the gym a bit hard this year.
You're hitting the Guinness. But Turlough, tell me this, Turlough, just from your own perspective, obviously for Eire Og's perspective this year, you had a young side out as well. I know it was referenced a couple of times in the commentary. You had 5 or 6, new kids on the block, and I suppose was the physicality a big thing in the difference between the two teams as well?
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, we think we had 7 guys who played the first county final this year. Overall, a very young team. Great learning year for them. Made a massive improvement in the last 12 months. And when up then against Crokes, like the conditioning gap is just so big. Now they're not a big team, Crokes, but they're so well conditioned. I was in their dressing room afterwards, and you know, it was like looking in the mirror, Stevie, to be honest with you. They're all as good shape as I am.
Well, here, Turlough, it makes a change from trying to get into the referee's room. You know, that makes a change. You know, so
no comment.
no comment. And Mark, tell me this, you know, they're playing St. Mary's RD this weekend, right? St. Mary's RD have 5 Louth senior county players playing in their forward line. Like, will Kilmacud look at that now and say to themselves, right, it's in RD, which I was there this year watching Louth against Derry. It's a tight venue, you know, it's a pitch that doesn't play fast. You know, will RD smell a wee upset here, or what way will Kilmacud, do you think, approach this game, Mark?
Yeah, look, I'm actually going to go down to it this week because it's only down the road in RD. Look, it probably would look Kilmacud will still be favourites, but RD, St. Mary's RD is their second year at this level. This is their second Louth championship, and you say the 5 Louth seed, but they're very, very young. They've got Cahill over them. Look, I would say St. Mary's RD will maybe, look, no doubt they'll sniff an upset. It's okay sniffing it and going and taking it. It's a different jellyfish. Now, there's no doubt if St. Mary's beat them, it'll be a massive, massive shock. I still think that Kilmacud will win, but as you said, it's a slow pitch, it's a tight pitch. But look, I would Kilmacud. I've seen St. Mary's RD last year, and I've seen, funny enough, a bit of the highlights. They played the Wicklow champions on TV last week too. I watched a bit of it, and there wouldn't be the same condition level as Kilmacud. Like Kilmacud look as if they're 3 and 4 years down the road condition, whereas St. Mary's RD's maybe 18 months. That's the one thing I would say about it being in St. Mary's RD. Yes, it's a home pitch. It's a home game for St. Mary's, but physicality wise, I know Turlough says that they wouldn't be the tallest team in the world, but they're conditioned, they're big, they're physical in the right places, and that may count again St. Mary's, because I know St. Mary's do like to play fast football, and like we've already said about RD, wouldn't be the fastest pitch in the world. It does play slow, so look, I still would think Kilmacud will come out and top, but it is, look, St. Mary's had them at home. It's a provincial semi-final. It's not often you get a home game in a provincial semi-final, so St. Mary's will be happy with that.
Robbie Brennan, Daniel's no slouch either. Like, you know, Robbie seems a real switched on guy from a managerial perspective, and he's brought in Bernard Flynn this year into the setup, former Meath player. Like, they'll obviously go on Sunday, Daniel, looking at RD's strengths. Their strength obviously lies in their forward line. They've been racking up big scores. They've been scoring a lot of goals in the Louth Championship. So they'll go Sunday, and they'll be super, super attritional, will they?
Yeah, you'd imagine so. And like Robbie was coaching me for a year in Sylvester's, like, and he's a very affable sort of fella, and he wouldn't have any ego about who he was playing. It's all the same. They're looking at, as you say, strengths and kind of how can they expose this rather than we'll just kind of cruise into it. You know, RD will probably need one of those days where you're hitting 80-90% efficiency. You're not missing any frees. You maybe get a little bit of luck as well. Like, so it's not impossible, but Crokes will make you work for every little score you get. Like, and if as Mark was saying, Mary's want to play on the break and want to play a little bit quicker football, like Crokes might turn over the ball 4, 5, 6 times in a game. Like, you know, there's one of the scores for the weekend. It was Darren Mullen's score in the first half. Turlough, you might remember it. It came from under the stand, and they must have kept it for, I'd say, 3 or 4 minutes, and it never looked like Eire Og were well set up, but it never looked like there was a possibility of a turnover. And then they just picked their moment and glided in for a score. And they're real crunchers for a team. Like, when you're trying to create energy, you're trying to create a turnover, and the life has been choked out of you. You know, I can't see it. In fairness to RD, they're probably in a good place. Second year after winning this second county final after winning, they might be, you know, year one you might be on the beer for a couple of weeks and you might be enjoying it and all that kind of stuff, whereas they're probably in a different place now. And I know underage, just from chatting to a few people in the area, like they're kind of getting that sort of stuff right. And I know with the school in RD is going pretty well as well in colleges and that. So there's a lot of good things happening. But Mark alluded to it earlier about, you know, where probably RD are with their condition and where Crokes are. I mean, Crokes are, I'm probably rabbiting on about this a good bit. Like, you talk about putting an S&C program in place for a pathway for a club. Like, you know, Crokes have this in for about 10 years. Like, so all these lads have been doing kind of a fairly standardized gym program coming up from 13, 14 years of age that has been progressing slowly. So it's not a case of hitting the weights hard for a year and that's it. Like, this is this has been a fairly constant thing for them, and they're Division 1 in nearly every underage grade in Dublin in hurling and football, and they're top of most of them. Like that's not a coincidence. So it's hard to battle with that level of work that they have under the belt.
I think Crokes have, since well, not to beat them that year there. I think they changed their style of football. I think they have become quite defensive, and I think they'll be so well set up. I don't think this loud that these RD forwards will get the room, to hit the back of net too often against them. They're superbly well organised at the back, and I think they'll relish actually going up to play up there. I think Dublin teams actually like to get out and travel, and I think they'll be under game. I couldn't see an upset here, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Turlough, there's probably nobody that is more knowledge of club football and Leinster football in particular than yourself. Like I know from working with you, like your knowledge of opposition is phenomenal. You know this niche team quite well as well. Nice team, Kildare champions, obviously. I think a former Eire Og man over them, is he? Joe Murphy?
Yeah, Joe Murphy is over them. Yeah.
They play St. Loman's Mullingar, and it's probably no coincidence that these are familiar names in Leinster club football, I suppose. St. Loman's Mullingar been around for a while. Obviously, the likes of John Heslin there, who's obviously a marquee forward. How do you see this game going, Turlough, between Naas and...
It's an interesting one. This could be...
quite tight.
Yeah, 50-50 game, I think. Naas are on the crest of wave now. Fairness, like they've had a few great years here now. This year, they've set up a bit more defensive than they have in the past. It took a while for it to settle in with them. I think they're more of an offensive team, but they're hitting things on the counter attack. They've a lot of pace in their team. They're very, very well organised. It's very much, a very mature squad of players who are very, very leading it, really. Players lead it on the pitch. Superb leaders on the pitch. As I said, massive pace on it as well. Lomans, I think, will try and play, expansive football, I imagine. I think any team with John Heslin will want to spraying the ball around. I can't imagine Heslin fit into a system that would be very defensive. He'd like to express himself, and obviously they have the forwards as well, to trouble any team. And I think it'll be a 50-50 game. Naas haven't hit the heights in terms of performance levels this year, but they've been efficient and they've won games, tight games that maybe in the past they might have cracked under. But this is going to be the tightest game of the weekend, I'd say.
Yeah, and Ledge, you've come across a lot of these lads in county games as well. Owen Doyle, centre half back, obviously a lot of experience, has played for Kildare for a long time as well. Doran Kerwin ran riot the last day as well. I think he had a really, really good day the last day. Like, what's your take on this? Like, are Naas are they perceivably contenders here for a Leinster club title, do you think?
Possibly so. Like I have a sneaky suspicion for Lomans myself. I think they're on, like they've had a couple of county finals under the belt over the last maybe 7 or 8 years. They've been thereabouts, probably underachieving considering the talent they have. Like, Flanagan centre forward, Heslin, as we mentioned, Shane Dempsey is back, he was in Dubai. Like they're 3 star quality inside forwards. Like, that would trouble anyone. And I'd say they probably have been underachieving considering what they have, Naas, I saw them in the Kildare County final, attritional as well. Like that kind of, it was kind of whoever blinked first was probably going to lose, and that's kind of the way it came out. But I just have a sneaky suspicion for Lomans, for whatever reason. Naas definitely are in a really good place and a mature squad, and in fairness, Naas are kind of like the Crokes sample, the population, the resources, all that kind of stuff that they have in place, and they're in Leinster semi-final in the hurling as well, I think, so they're a phenomenal club, but it's away as well, which is, I think, will count for a little bit, up there. Again, I wouldn't particularly like playing up there in Mullingar, but it's a tough place to go and play, and I just have a sneaky suspicion for Lomans, just with as the couple of lads we've mentioned, and I think Naas might struggle to contend them.
Yeah, there's still a couple of your footballs lying in the roof of Dunn Stores, in behind the goals there in Mullingar, isn't it?
I never missed.
A couple of wayward ones. Only 2 big towns, Mullingar, Naas. Kilmacud obviously as well, a big superpower. Daniel talked about it. RD, they're obviously becoming, a very, very dominant force there as well at underage level, and the schools he talked about in the system structure. Like, is it any coincidence that these bigger clubs are obviously the tail end of these championships?
No, look, and there's obviously the work that's now going in. Look, I think the penny is finally dropped with a lot of the big clubs. If we can get everything rated underage or structures, we're going to see our benefits. And look, we were just talking about Lomans. I know Ballybaby actually played Lomans last year before the West Meath final in a challenge game, and they were nipped then by the Downs. They were just from talking to them that day. Paddy Christie actually was involved with them last year.
Right, okay.
And I knew they were very disappointed because just from talking to them, their eyes firmly fixed on a Leinster club championship last year, and then the Downs actually nipped them, and Downs actually went to the final. So Lomans got the revenge this year. So look, I think Lomans will be really, really focused on the game. The fact that it's in Mullingar, to be fair, I know Naas beat a Salisbury team who was hotly fancied. Mick McDermott actually, I think, was going for a 6th championship in 6 different counties. He was over Salisbury, but look, Naas got over, but you would have to fancy Lomans. But look, as you said, it's no coincidence these big clubs are getting their underage structures, because if you use the conveyor belt, if you can get 2 or 3 players through every year, it's massive. And like, if you even look at that Kilmacud team, I think they've 3 or 4 changes. I know a couple of them is enforced for people going away on holidays and stuff, but their forward line that they just think the 2 or 3 new lads in, and they've made a massive difference to them.
Yeah, 2 interesting games for sure. Looking forward to both of them. On the Munster men, Turlough, Castlehaven, big win at the weekend. Beat Turlough of Clare. Colin Collins is actually over them. Just looking at Castlehaven's lineup, Turlough, and looking at some of the football they played, like it was very, very Corkish type football. You know, it was fastball, it was pacey. You know, they've some really, really good footballers. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember Brian Hurley or Michael Hurley was one of the 2 of them. Was it Brian found himself in Carlow IT for a few years? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He did. And
Both of them, I think.
Both of them, and I remember we played them, and I just remember at the end of the game the pace that both of them had and the power. You know, it was scary. You know, and obviously they'd be looking at themselves now, particularly with the draw they have. They're playing the Waterford champions, Rathcormac, and they'll obviously perceivably fancy their chance of winning that, which will put them in a Munster final. Castlehaven maybe contenders for an All Ireland, possibly.
Possibly could be, yeah. They certainly like to play, you know, traditional football, I suppose. They're a little bit frustrated at the moment, I think, with some of the teams that come up against. Even in the Cork final, Nemo were very, very defensive in the Cork final, and it was a very low-scoring game. There was a lot of frustration about that, and same again last week, you know. But they have the talent. I mean, the forward talent there. The 2 lads are just phenomenal players, phenomenal players. Yeah. It's a great. Castlehaven is a great West Cork club, you know, with great tradition, and they'll be looking to go the whole way, I would say, definitely without a doubt. They're a club that would be hungry for success. They would have felt they should have won more Cork championships than they have won. So I'd say now that they're out, that they would really want to go the whole way if they can do that, you know. And I suppose, look, I think, you know, they've an easy enough draw. I think maybe through Munster, you'd have to give them every chance.
Yeah, and Mark, you spent the last season down in Munster. You were with Colin and Clare, and obviously I know you'd probably be bitterly disappointed with that result. They were very, very close to a big upset there.
Yeah, they were, and I watched the first half. Just it was a Munster TV there before it up to Newry. Like, and to be fair, they were right in the game. And now, to be fair, I was talking to him during the week. He really fancied them. Colin really fancied Craig. Just I don't know what it is with Colin and Cork. He always seems to get it right up against Cork teams. And look, to be fair, I know from the start of the year, the Cracklow probably winning the Clare Championship was a big, big shock. I know a lot of people had them tipped for relegation. Actually, I think he told me 12 of their starting 15 or 33 and over. Right. That's a lot, but they've a lot of good hurlers. I know Cracklow hurlers were beat early on, and I hope there's Slaughtneil people listen to that. The hurlers beat early on. They can concentrate on the football, and that's what he actually says. The hurlers were beating the first round of Clare, and that allowed them full focus on the Clare Championship, and they beat an Eire Og team who was really hotly fancy. Eire Og were beat last year by Rathleys by a point. Eire Og, there were 7 Clare County seniors on it. They cracked only a 1. The Podge, I know the Sean Collins would be another son of Colin, but he was injured all last year, but he's back playing for Cracklow. But there were a lot of good players, and like the draw to extra time, nobody fancied Cracklow even to go to extra time, and I think nobody maybe knows this. The game was actually fixed for Castlehaven, and on the Wednesday night, Castlehaven said their pitch was watered out. Castlehaven have a nice tight little pitch, and all of a sudden it was moved to the bigger Park of Kiev, and it probably suited. But you look at the boys mentioned, 2 Hurleys, I think the Hurling, son, funny enough.
Mark Collins middle of the field.
Mark Collins, but actually 2007, I know our own club, we came up against Castlehaven in the first round of Kilmacud. The year we won Kilmacud, we played Castlehaven in the first game. We won 3-17 to 3-16. And I know Niall Cahalan was managing, and there's a few, he said something to me, and I probably was nice back to him.
Was
But
that
I
the
always
year? Was that the year you got player of the tournament? You asked me to mention that.
no, look, the year I just go with the year we won it.
Oh,
But
right,
that was
okay, right.
Castle Haven was our first game. It was 3-17 to 3-16. I always remember ever since then we always looked out. But they actually they knocked Finbars out of I think in the first round of Cork was a big win for them. But when you look at Brian Hurley and Michael Hurley, Mark Hunt, the class all over the field. But I think that Carmel's a team I think I would be tipping in Munster.
Yeah.
So when I remember watching them last year again, Nemo Rangers, and I was really impressed. And they were on TV one Saturday night and they destroyed. And then they went and slipped up again, Newcastle West, but they beat Newcastle West yesterday.
Yeah, and Daniel, like St Finbar's took Kilmacud last year at extra time, sorry, 2 years ago at extra time, All Ireland semi final, and obviously Cork club football, with a historical, reputation that Nemo Rangers had, obviously Castlehaven will fancy their chances, but Mark talked about Clonmel Commercials, a very familiar name, Daniel, at club football now at this stage. They obviously played Dingle, which is the Guineas club. It's a strange system, the Kerry system, isn't it? That East Kerry won the championship, and then obviously Dingle then are representing Kerry in the Provincial series. It's a bit of a strange one that.
Yeah, it probably depends. I suppose Dingle not getting to a county final might be a good thing for them in the sense that there's a couple of weeks to kind of take off and prepare for this properly. It's like Dingle are a quality outfit as well. They really are. I mean, they have some top end footballers. They're scattering of Kerry players, but just come back to Castlehaven for a second. What I think might benefit them is they've probably won a couple of games in a non-traditional way. They've shown that they can do it dirty if they need to, and that probably caught a lot of Cork teams out when they came out of Cork, because traditionally it would be. I'm not sure it'd be much tactics would be overly embraced in Cork. It would be pretty much played as you see it. But I think the benefit that Castlehaven might get of even that Nemo game, having to just go to the well and kind of really dog out a game, might do them no harm. And the same against Cratloe, it was a 1-9 it finished, same kind of idea. Munster's interesting though, because you literally have no, as Mark said, Clonmel are top quality outfit, but Dingle, you just don't know what they're going to bring on the day. I mean, if they have used their couple of weeks wisely, that could be extremely hard to stop. And it'd be very hard to see. It'd be very hard to see past. Any one of these teams could actually do something fairly decent, I think. So I wouldn't be amazed at all to see any of the four of them kind of thrown up. But I think probably Castlehaven, and I actually have a sneaky suspicion Dingle might have put a bit of emphasis on the last couple of weeks. So I think that could be your Munster final.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks away, so it's a fair bit away yet. But it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Maybe Kerry Cork, Munster club final. Connacht, Turlough, St Bridget's Roscommon are back at the top table. In Roscommon, they obviously have, Ben O'Carroll has been some addition, not only to Roscommon, but obviously at club level, he's a fantastic footballer. Ben came out of that successful Roscommon under-21 team a few years ago. Brian Stack, obviously a real talisman at full back. Big Eddie Nolan, I have a lot of time for Eddie and around the middle of the field. They play my hill of Leitrim, and a Leitrim team that you would probably have been very familiar with during your Carlow days. Obviously, Keith Burns set Division 4 on fire last year. He's their talisman. But I'm sort of looking at St Bridget's thinking, they probably have enough quality to come through this quite comfortably. Would you agree?
I would think so. Yeah, I couldn't see them stop, to answer with you. But I think Brian Stack is seriously injured.
Right.
I think he got picked up a very bad injury the last game there.
Yeah, yesterday.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear
he got injured yesterday.
I think he did. Yeah.
That's a pity. He's a good lad.
Corofin, they just about got over my colon in the Galway final. I was actually at it and
very good.
Yeah, it was a dour, rough game, to be honest with you. Joe Bradley talks about Corofin playing this champagne football, but it was a really get down and dirty in the trenches sort of a game, and it really only opened up for about 5-10 minutes towards the end of the game, and I'd say my colon left it too late, to be honest with you. I would say they got caught. It's not the Corofin team of the past, in my opinion, anyway. No. Gary Sykes a full forward, he's still their main man, and I don't know what he's getting on now, so he's put on a few pounds as well. But a superb footballer. I thought Kieran Malloy was outstanding for them. He really took the fight to them. But they're going up against, I think, Ballina are coming up against, and Ballina seem to be setting up again another very, very defensive-minded team in the Mayo final. So I still think Corofin will come through it. And I'd fancy maybe Bridges to win the Connacht Championship.
Well, what's interesting, and Donny, obviously, Ballina, like Padraig O'Hara is a massive loss. He didn't play that. Now, they played Fulham Irish, and I looked at it today, and Evan Regan, their top scorer in the Mayo Club Championship, he didn't play due to personal reasons. But I'm sort of thinking to myself, they obviously, were very, very safe and content in the fact that Fulham Irish, they were going to win that game quite comfortably. I think they ended up winning the game, I think, by 15, 16 points, and that was out 2 or 3 key men. But I think if they're going to beat Corofin, they'll need everyone, and particularly O'Hara, probably.
Yeah, no, they will need everyone. And look, that's actually a really good. I know Thursday's Corofin did play very defensively, and yes, I know Mike Cullen, probably Sean Kelly didn't play for them. It was a big blow. But to be fair, Gary Space, I know he still kicked 6 points. The 3 or 4 under 21s. I know they introduced the Galway under 20 championship last year, and I know this, their manager Kevin Johnson, I think he said there's 3 or 4 of them came through, and it just added a real freshness to their side. And look, and to be fair, look, there's a man there we're talking. I think Kevin Johnson's now won 3 championships in the last 5 years.
3 championships, 3 different counties. Sligo, man,
and that's serious going. Like, and look, you would still look, you're still to go with Corofin, the Bridges final. That would actually be a brilliant final. Yeah. Because look, it'd be a great final to go and watch. But look, you would fancy the 2 of them to come through. But it is like Corofin. There were people said that's them finish, and they won 3 of Ireland. Somebody says, "Oh, you're not here tell a Corofin now for 6 or 7 years ago," and now they're back again. And it's great to see them back because look, they did play serious good football, but look, it just shows you they changed. Everybody changes for their styles, and they're playing. Like, I did listen. There's an interview with Kevin Johnson after the game where Mike Cullen, he says, "Look, you play at the style Corofin had 5 or 6. There's enough players to play that way at the minute. Now we're playing the style that suits us."
Yeah,
and conditions were really bad that day too. It was just wet day, and the pitch in Salthill was really, really heavy. I'd say it really affected the quality of the game, I imagine. So maybe it wasn't a true reflection of the way they will play, but it was a dogfight, and they had the character to win it.
Yeah, I watched Mike Cullen last year, Daniel, in the All Ireland semi-final, and I thought they were extremely well organised defensively. I suppose it's the old narrative, like everyone has to have a decent defensive platform to build from, and I suppose there's a lot of criticism labelled at some games, but like when you look at the volume of games that's played, not every game is bad, but a lot of teams are setting up in a very similar way. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, to be honest, the lads mentioned the conditions, and I think every team is doing the same thing throughout the year, and it's just so much harder this time of year because realistically, moving the ball by foot is just a lottery, really. You have a heavy pitch. It's kind of Back's time of year to get to have their moment after running around in hard pitches for 5 months. So look, it is what it is. I mean, I think if you went back and averaged out the club championships for this time of year for the last 20 years, I'd say it's probably on a par. Like it's just the nature of the nature of the beast. Like how many county finals are there? I mean, it's what happens. So I wouldn't overly analyze it too much. But. And ultimately all these things they're not entertainment value. When you're playing for a club and like Corofin were trying to wrestle back a county title, you will do whatever is necessary, and you could absolutely. And Ballina no different. Like I mean, it's do you go out and play open ball against Brafey in a Mayo County final and lose by 6 heroically, or do you actually give yourself a fighting chance of winning a game? And look, it mightn't be for everyone, but put it this way, if you're a club player and you've been training for 10, 11 months for this, you 1-0, do you? So it might be.
The thing about the provincial club championship, of course, it's all knockout. Group stages of this, so it is on the day, and a lot of clubs like to have a dogfight and just see, will be in it at the end of the game, and a late score to win a game would be happy enough to do that, And
speaking of which, moving on to Ulster, Scottstown, you ventured up the road yesterday, Turlough, to Park Ashler in Newry. On your travels, you just don't know where you'd appear, but
all paid the expenses.
Scottstown.
I mean, Steely's not paying my expenses for going to these games.
No, Daly look after you. But hey, on a serious note, Scottstown, look, I did think the game was going to be tight. I know Mark will have his own views on this, like from knowing Scottstown very well during his time at Ballybay. I have been super impressed with the pace in which Kilcoo were playing football this year, but I think it was more an indictment of how poor the Down Championship was. I've been involved in Down club football now for maybe about 12 years and Division 1, and I said to Mark today, actually I was chatting to him, I thought the standard of the Down Championship this year was probably the lowest it's ever been from a quality point of view. Such a disappointing final as well, but Burn were terribly disappointing in the final, and I was sort of looking, and I looked at them against Derrygonley, and we probably thought, Jesus, the blew Derrygonley away, but maybe that was more of a case of how poor Fermanagh was. But the old dog for the hard road, Turlough, the experience and the dogginess of that Scottstown team was something else, wasn't it?
Well, look, I suppose when you look at the lineup that Scottstown have, they probably have 8 Monaghan senior footballers on the team, and leading Monaghan players. Household names on that team, and they're probably a club really that should have done better in the Ulster Club Championship over the years, and they haven't done it. But I would have to say, I think Kilcoo fluffed their lines. They went 4 points up. I really thought of the game won, and they didn't close it out. I was really impressed with Kilcoo's pace, as you said. I mean, they're like lightning coming out of the fence on the counter-attack. But while they actually opened up the Scottstown defence, they don't pull the trigger often enough to try to pass the ball off and go for efficiency and not got a chance taking their shot. I thought that came back to haunt them a little bit, and then that clearance at the end of the game, by the full back, was horrendous, and you just wouldn't expect it from them, So they probably contributed their own downfall, to be honest with you. Having said that, that the points that Scottstown got to win the game were absolutely phenomenal. I was in the stand, in the first half, and there was a few Kilcoo lads behind me, and they were deriding Began's performance in the first half. He had 3 wides in the first half. And he was playing out on the Kilcoo 45. And he turned it around in the second half. I mean, that point he scored from play was 60 metres. I think he was trying to put the ball in long into Hughes, and it just overcooked it. I think it ended up in the Newry Canal. I think it was so far ahead of the post. And then, of course, the 3 to win it was superb. And but the quality they have, though, in that Scottstown team, that is serious. I don't think any team left in the championship has the same quality of player that they have. Question is, can they produce it now through the rest of the campaign?
The 2 week break, Mark. The 2 week break might help Scottstown. Obviously, those older players will do very little this week, bar recovery. But tell me this, Mark, just while I come back to that one, from a 4 points up with Kilcoo. I don't think I've ever seen Kilcoo throw away a 4-point lead so late in the game, because they're the masters of when they're in front, you're in trouble, because of the way they play. Was there a wee element of complacency maybe towards the end of the game?
Look, I know Kilcoo people would probably say there wasn't, but I do believe there was. And look, let's make it so everybody thought when Kilcoo went 4 in front, it's game over. Now, which probably shocked me a wee bit sometimes. Kilcoo, yes, they'll manage the game out, but with a couple of chances ago, it was just how defensive they went. When they went 4 up, it just namely automatically will drop off here. And look, one thing with Scottstown, they're the one team you can't drop off, because they have men 50 yards out, 60, who can kick scores.
Yeah.
Now, and to be fair, I'm just referring back to Kilcoo, they'll make no take, or will be sick. They'll be sick to them. It'll be a stinger for them. It'll be a hard one to take. Just come back to everything. Look, I actually don't think there's a team in Ireland plays with the same pace as Kilcoo. When they are playing at that pace, I didn't think they played with the pace enough. I thought they went when they had them. Now, I did think if Kilcoo played with a pace, the serious pace they can play, relentless pace, I didn't think Scottstown would live them. And I thought Kilcoo I felt before the game, if Kilcoo play with any sort of pace for a sustainable period of time, Scottstown won't live with them. I thought Scottstown will want to go in and make it a dogfight. And that's exactly what they did. Now, I watched Scottstown 2 years ago in Celtic Park against Glen, and Glen completely destroyed them. And I did think I thought there's a lot of ways in the Scottstown team, right? They're going to struggle in last year. Obviously, Ballybee beat them in the final too, and I thought, they are in trouble. But look, to be fair to them, they got themselves right. They went back, and the Monaghan final this year, I actually thought Enniskeane blew it. Enniskeane goalkeeper had a couple of bad kick-outs. Scottstown 3 scores from it. Declan Meehan was playing corner 4 for Enniskeane, the 3 21-yard frees. Normally would kick was eyes closed, missed them. And I remember leaving Clonus going that day, and it was funny. I said to Paul Finlay, I said, Scottstown will not live with Kilcoo. And Paul Finlay said, it just says, I wouldn't write them off, but I was thinking about it. There's no county in Ireland plays an underdog better than Monaghan. And like it probably was sitting up, and make no mistake, Newry suited Scottstown yesterday. Clonus would have suited Kilcoo better. Maybe Newry, Scottstown would have been happy going to Newry, a tighter field, and they have the big men physically to get in around. Whereas Clonus, maybe the big wide open spaces would have suited Kilcoo. Now, make no mistake, Kilcoo without Jerome Johnson up front, they've no goal threat. They don't look as if having the same goal threat now when he's not there. But in saying that, look, they still should have won the game, but they're taking nothing away. Well, they're 4 points up. I actually thought at half time they were in the draw, and they were probably lucky. Scottstown, I thought, were the better team in the first half. But Kilcoo done what they do. That 15-minute period, 3/4. We talk about that third quarter. Then they do go the town and probably went 4 up, and they probably was complacent. They set in, but take nothing away from Scottstown what they've done. And like it was just even to see, like in the kick outs, to be fair, I thought Scottstown yesterday want to make Kilcoo kick the ball down. They went in a sort of half press and started. To be fair to Bobo Kane, Bobo Kane's kick outs were brilliant the first 20 minutes, but then Scottstown went in that real aggressive press and they won the next 3. Because one thing about Scottstown, there's no team in Ulster is as big as them. Like they have a lot of big men around that middle, Mike McCarville, you have 2 Qs, as Beggan comes out and joins him, Ryan O'Toole. Like they've serious physicality and height. And then to be fair, Kilcoo came out the second half and they won the next couple of balls out long. But then you could see the panic setting in once. It got back to 2 or 3 points and Kilcoo or Scottstown really pressed. I think even the last kick out, maybe Kieran chooses. I think Rory Beggan actually broke it down to somebody want to break. But the one thing I would say the big turning point was Doran Hughes. I think Doran Hughes made a hit on Eugene Brannigan.
He did, yeah.
And it just seemed to lift Scottstown. It seemed to give them that wee drive. But the one thing before the game, talking to a few Scottstown people, I was actually shocked at how confident Scottstown were.
Yeah.
Before the game. Now, you made a comment there about the break, that 2-week break. I remember, like, Kilcoo, didn't make no mistake, it does. Kilcoo went to Derrygunley last week, 7 days, and an Ulster Club Championship. Yes, they won it pulling up, but it's very hard 7 days later to refocus yourself to get you ready for a big game. It is that 7 days, because I remember my own experience last year, Ballybay actually beat Crosswood Lane, and 7 days later, we had to go and play Kilcoo in Clonus. And it's very, very hard to get set now. But Kilcoo have the experience of doing this. I'm not trying to use it, but I'm just thinking wee tiny things. I say Scottstown sitting this 3 weeks, and I'm going back to that being written after an underdog. There's nobody plays an underdog better. But look, Scottstown, some of the scores we talked about. I hear people saying about club football board. Jesus, nobody complained about the entertainment in Newry yesterday, like the atmosphere. Even in the first half, it was intense. There might have been a lot of scores, but it was just fascinating to see the way teams were set up, what Scottstown were doing, their matchups, how they were going after the kick out. And to be fair, even Kilcoo, and I thought Kilcoo might have dropped after Rory's kick outs at the start. They actually didn't. They pressed. So like there's a lot of stuff that was actually I thought it was a brilliant spectacle yesterday.
It was fascinating. The kick outs were fascinating because in fairness to Kane, in that first half, there was a decent enough press on from Scottstown, but he got a lot of his kick outs away onto that right hand side. And they got away with it. But the second half, that high press from Scottstown was incredible. And they are a huge team, lads.
No, he's decent. Kane's decent at getting short kickouts away. I know Daniel chatted to Robbie Brenner, Daniel, after the All-Ireland final. He said that Kilmacud went after him hard in that final. And in the first half, Kilcoo had 100% retention rate on the kickout. And Kilmacud are, would be well organised on a press and have plenty of physicality. But it's just interesting, like when I look at it, like you have Glen, Waddy Graham's, you have Glenties, you have Trillick, and you have Scottstown, right? So on paper, you have Derry versus Donegal and Tyrone versus Monaghan. Is there a correlation? With the strength of the counties and the strength of the clubs?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's I just going back to the Scottstown game. Like I thought it was really interesting. Outside of the first 20 minutes, I actually thought Scottstown were probably the better team. And to be honest with you, I thought the penalty was soft. It probably was a penalty, but wasn't a goal threat. Like, do you know what I mean? There was no need for Darren Hughes to go in that hard at it. It wasn't really an opportunity. And without that penalty, it's probably going to a draw game, regardless. I'd say, So in a sense, I thought Scottstown were really clever. Like, I mean, it looked like for the first half, it looked like they purposely slowed down. Any transitions they got, it looked like they really purposely slowed everything down. It took it almost to a walking pace. So probably that idea of maybe an older team kind of kind of taking their way through the game in a way that they felt they could last the full of
taking
it.
Taking the sting out of the pace of it, like
very much so. And Mark, you mentioned like that Kilcoo didn't play with enough pace consistently. I didn't think they were led. I thought Kilcoo really, or I thought Scottstown really strangled the pace of the game an awful lot, and it looked really pointed. Even when there was opportunities for transition, when you're thinking, Jesus, they've 3-4 overload down flanks, they kind of held off and waited and were extremely patient with what they're doing. But the second half, they obviously decided direct was the option, because they must have put 6, 7, 8 really long early balls in. Not much came off them, little half chances. Darren Hughes going behind for one. But I think what it did was it made Kilcoo wary of that, and they retreated back to their D. And like you look at where Kieran Hughes picked up his mark from. Like there was 12, 13 Kilcoo players were all around the D, but no one was marking those fringes. And that's purely because of the long threat. And then you have the option of the easier one outside the scoring zone, which, sorry, it wasn't an easier one, it was a phenomenal score. But nonetheless, it was a 30-yard kick pass to a man with no one on him. You know what I mean? And I think that played out tactically because of the threat that I think that Scottstown had physically. And we've mentioned the size of them. You know, any kind of direct ball that went in there, they won it, worst case scenario, or got a positive break off it. But it was a really good game. I thought it was brilliant. Like, I mean, you're looking at, I don't know, I'm still not sure about Scots, and I think that might have been the Everest for them, to be honest. I think that might have been, there's such an emphasis on Kilcoo. I'd still find it hard to look past Glen. You know, Trillick are decent.
Well, Trillick, I would say Trillick, or I would say last night there was a real lift in the Trillick camp when they seen Kilcoo were gone. You know, I think that they play Scottstown now. No disrespect to Scottstown, but I would say Trillick would have been thinking, you know, we're going to be playing Kilcoo. Obviously, the reputation of Kilcoo, and they've been in 3 of the last 4 Ulster finals. They've been in 2 of the last 4 All Ireland finals. You know, they're a very experienced group. They have a lot of really good players. But I just think Mark's right. Like the absence of Jerome Johnson, the absence of Dylan Ward, and I've said this story before. And Turlough, I don't know if you picked up on it in the All Ireland final when they won the All Ireland against Kilmacud. They brought 3 players off the field, but they brought the same 3 players back on again. And I just don't think Kilcoo have that real deep bench, that real sort of squad that the likes of a Kilmacud has, or a Waddy Graham's have, you know, with a wee bit of quality to come in there, you know, and a bit of physicality and size as well. But it's interesting now, like Trillick plays Scottstown now. That'll be a good game. That'll be a really good game. And it'll be an intriguing game. But for me, Daniel talked about Waddy Graham's. Dorney, I know you come up against them. How close, Turlough, do you think they will be of winning All Ireland this year if they can get through Ulster?
Well, you'd have to rate it very, very highly. Like, I mean, you've been around the block now, so they have, and have some quality, really, really quality players, like up front especially. You know, they're very well organised. I don't think they played particularly well though this year, mind you, but I think, I mean, again, Kilcoo and Ulster, I think that's going to get them a big boost as well. You would fancy their chances. I think they'd be too good for Atlantis. I think they will be. Back in the final then, and Trillick or Scottstown, I think they'd be happy to play either of them, I would imagine. Trillick, to me, brought a lot of energy against Glen, and you know, a lot of pace that might cause Scottstown trouble. But again, Tyrone team's record in the championship isn't brilliant. Like, you know, would they follow through on their win last? You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. Obviously, Matty Donnelly's a huge loss to them. Like, but Richie Donnelly really stepped up the last day. I thought. Though.
Yeah, he did. No, he did a brilliant game. Mark, the big energy line for Glen, middle of the field. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Look, to be fair, there are 2 powerhouses. To be fair, Brendan or Conor Glass and Emma Bradley, and then they're big. And even tell you Ryan Dugan at full back. I know he lanes out at full back. And now and then you have, like, I tell you, their defence that's where I actually think they're strong. Is like the Warnock at corner back. The Dougie.
Warnock's a good player, don't he? Warnock's a really good player on the ball.
Yeah, really good on the player. Ball. Connor Ciarville, Cahan Mulholland, Ethan Mulholland. Well, I know even Slaughtneil beat them. I don't think that a 4 score from play, it was their defence.
Yeah.
They've all come from deep. They've a lot, and then to be fair, like the Jack Doherty and Ethan Doherty.
Yeah.
In a half-forward line, Danny Tan, Alex Doherty's only coming back. The scary thing probably what, look, I know Turlough mentioned they're not playing well, but nobody's actually getting anywhere any closer to beating them.
Yeah.
And
I seen them 2 or 3 times this year, Donny. I would have felt was there a case of getting to the final last year, the whole emotion around, the replay, was it going to happen, was it not? Then they were straight back in with Gallagher, Derry. It's been a long couple of years for that group, and you're sort of thinking,
well, I know that Derry, to be fair to Malachy, I know we give the whole Glen, once Derry was finished, they give a whole lot of them. They were told not to come back in for 4 weeks.
Fair play, right?
They actually played their first 2 group games without their county men.
Yeah.
And now, but saying that, Kilmacud Falls a big plus for them.
Yeah,
didn't play for them last year, and to be fair, he's actually playing very, very well.
Yeah.
As last few weeks now, but like Carrigan and Glen, you watch Glen. Glen actually don't when they get stage 8, they don't hammer teams. They just do enough, but they're not as like they have a lot of good players. But come back, like, and you look around, I still look. There's no doubt Glen were probably delighted. Scottstown done them a favour. Because make no mistake, in the back of Glen's head was
Kilcoo.
And it's Kilcoo in the final, and vice versa. But look, it just shows you take the eye of the ball. But look, Glen there's one thing with Molly O'Rourke. Again, he will give Glenties the utmost respect. And look, there's one thing with Glenties. I think Glenties actually matched them well from goalkeeper up to midfield, but it's just up front. I don't see Glenties having anything up front that'll give Glen any trouble. And look, Alex Doherty came on, and yesterday for the last 15 minutes, Alex has played very little. He will be a massive plus for Glen. They've actually introduced a young lad, Danny McDermott, who he's actually only 5 or 6 days, missed out on minors 5 or 6 days. He's a big player for Glen this year. And look, to be fair, Glen are strong all over. And I'm just looking at Ulster going, look, on paper, you're saying Scottstown could have probably the flying tail, you would think, but I go back to that game in Celtic Park 2 years ago where Glen absolutely destroyed them. And you have to remember, Molly O'Rourke, all these Glen players, all these Scottstown marquee players we're talking about, Molly O'Rourke knows them inside out now. And saying that, Trillick, Jody Gormley and Trillick will be sitting thinking, yes, you mentioned it, Kilcoo's gone. We have a rattle here at Scottstown, which will be massive for them. And look, it's actually fascinating. And look, so one competition is my favourite competition, including county football and everything else, the club championship. I know the 2 boys are going to be saying, "Oh, that's just a biased one."
Well, them two boys, Ledger and O'Brien, are both anti-Nordy men. They're
all right. Sure, look, everything is right.
When I was getting sectarian abuse down in Port Lisa, 2 boys were joining in, you know what I mean?
But I think there's just a point yesterday in Scotland. I think it hasn't been remarked on. Right, everybody talks about Rory begging to point. It's the free he scored, the point he scored. But do you all remember the pass he gave to Jason Carey? And it brought Scottstown back to 2 points. He gave a pass, Jason Carey inside, about 35, 40-yard pass into an eye of a needle. Jason Carey took the mark. And I thought that was a massive pass.
Took it at the top of the D,
Yes, it was a real risky pass to play. Yeah. But he seen it, he went for it. To be fair to Jason, took the mark and over the bar. Yeah, and I think that was a big score yesterday.
Ledge, we'll not spend too much more time on it. I'm going to push this for a wee bit of a prediction here. But Ledge, Donny talked about Glen not hammering teams. They're very systematic, like Kilmacud. In a way, they're very similar actually in a way in which they play.
I was just going to say, as we were talking, we kind of nearly have been saying the same things about both teams. Both a little bit slow to get up and running. Both probably timing the run. Probably looking to peak for different times in the year without having to flog lads that have been on the go for a full year between counties and clubs. But I think it's like the whole club thing. I mean, there's these little rivalries developing within club football now that probably weren't there before. Maybe it's to do with the split season, I'm not sure. But like, you look at that Glen Kilcoo thing, that was a huge thing. Even Glen and Kilmacud will have their own little rivalry from last year. There's little storylines and bylines coming in, and I think the club championship is, especially when you get to the provincial sides of it, it's starting to take off a small bit, and I think it's, definitely aspects of it might be more interesting than some of the county stuff,
100%. Well, I'm going to push this here, man, quickly, right? We're going to I don't want to speech in this now, Dorney. You need to just give me 4 words here. So give me your last 4, Turlough, quickly. Give me your last 4. Leinster.
Kilmacud.
Okay. Ulster.
Glen.
Okay. Connacht.
Bridget's.
And Munster.
I'm going to go with Castlehaven.
Okay, and then Dorney, shout. Leinster.
Kilmacud.
And Ulster.
Glen.
Yeah, and what are we going for at Connacht?
I'm going to go for Corofin.
Corofin, and finally then Munster.
Commercials.
You're going to go commercials, good man.
Yeah.
And Ledge, finish you. Kilmacud.
Glen, Bridget's, and Dingle.
Interesting. So we've all something different there. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, lads. We'll come back after the finals. After the
Who's your
finals.
four? You can't hang
Oh
up
well,
at
I'll go. I'll go Kilmacud. I'll go Kilmacud. I'll go Glen. I'm gonna go Ballina. I'm just gonna go something different, Ballina, and I'll finish with Castlehaven.
Good job, you're not a betting man.
No, so look, we'll come back after the finals, man, and we'll get a good look at it, and we'll see who's close and who's not close. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll get the threes back on, and we'll look at the potential contenders then to the All Ireland crown. But listen, lads, thanks very much. Brilliant to have your insights. Great knowledge. Turlough, God knows where you're going this weekend. I know Dorney's for RD. I think I might go down myself and watch Kilmacud, but
I might go to Mullingar.
You'll probably pop up. I was going to say in Mullingar, maybe. Yeah. Are you allowed in Mullingar? Remember you chased the ref off the field that day? The Gardaí were called and everything that day, you know.
I think, Stevie, your memory is absolutely...
John Heslin kicked the ball at my calf, but it's still sore. I mean, I broke my mouth that day too. But hey, listen, Ben, great to have you on. And hey, listen, we'll chat soon anyway. Thanks a million, boys.
Oh,
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. Bye.
See you later.